Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai. Om Jnanatimarandasya. Om Jnananjana Shalakaya. Chakshurunmilitam yena. Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance. And my spiritual master opened my eyes. With the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisance to him. Okay, so we're looking at chapter 7 from Bhagavad Gita, which is entitled Knowledge of the Absolute. And as I understand, we are on verse 23, is it not?
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay. Fine. So with this, I'll start to read. I'll read this first verse to open it up. Men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods go to the planets of the demigods, but my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet. Okay, so this is a revisitation of what we had discussed before in the Bhagavad Gita. We have discussed the fact that much of the Vedas has to do with fruits and flowers. Okay, Prabhupada uses the flowery language of the Vedas, which refers to karma kanda, where you get temporary satisfaction. And fruits, we say, Prabhupada also uses the word fruit of activities, fruit of results, also implying the same thing. Temporary measures, temporary satisfaction. So this has come to visit us once again, that let's be bright, let's be intelligent. The word alpamadasam that you see in the verse there, madasam means intelligent. Then alpa refers to small intelligence. So we are encouraged to be very intelligent, to see the broader perspective, the big picture in life, and to go for that which is permanent. I'm going to jump ahead, fast forward for you, and take you to chapter 9, Yandi, Deva, Vrata, Devan, etc. That says that those who worship the demigods go to the demigods. Those who worship ancestors go to the ancestors. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will end up in those places. But those who worship me will come to me. The difference between the three previous forms of worship is that the results are temporary. And when we are coming to Krishna, then we're talking about something very different. We're talking about a permanent arrangement. Now, those of you who have a background from India, you're familiar with all the different gods. Those who come from a Christian background or Judeo background, we might not have a big issue about demigods. We understand, okay, there's one supreme God, correct? So it's easy for us. However, we are told that although God is one, God has many aspects. God has many expansions, divisions, and so on. And so we are required to understand them. Why is it important? Because we must acknowledge that there's something about Krishna in the sun. There's something about Krishna in the moon, in water, in the ocean, in the rivers, etc., in the trees. We have to remember that Krishna is everywhere. And if we go through the Abrahamic path, where God is only up there, way up in the sky somewhere, then we are also, let's say, cheating ourselves, because this is not the absolute truth. God is found up there, down there, sideways, crossways, diagonally, in the trees, on the ground that you're sitting on your couch, in the sun, in the air, etc., in the water. So this is what Krishna consciousness means, to appreciate the presence of Krishna everywhere in all things. I'm going to go back to chapter 4, text 35. After Krishna tells Arjuna, okay, now learn from a guru, because he has seen the truth. Render service, ask a bunch of questions. Okay, what do you get out of this? What does the guru teach? Chapter 4, text 35, Krishna says, you will learn from the guru this. And I'm going to flip to the pages, and I think you're doing it as well. That's 435, right?
Yes, Maharaj.
Yash gyatva na punarmoham. Okay.
Sorry.
And so, translation of that is, having obtained real knowledge from a self-realized soul, you'll never fall again into such illusion. For by this knowledge, what are you going to get? That's the question. What is this knowledge going to give you? You will see that all living beings are but part of the Supreme. Or in other words, that they are mine. So this is quite critical, that there is some presence of God in everything. It's not just like a big wall is between God's here, or he's on a big throne and he doesn't have presence here. How many times does Krishna tell us in the Gita that he's in the heart of all living beings? Sarvashachaham Hridi Sanivishta. Hridi means heart. He says that so many times in the Gita. So he's in the heart, he's outside the heart, he's in between, he's everywhere. Okay. I think we can go to the next verse now, unless if anybody has any questions.
Maharaj, I have a question.
Yes.
Is there a specific reason that Krishna sometimes he talks on first person and sometimes third person? He says there the supreme, and then after says mine. So in the same verse, he uses the first person and then the third person. And there are different verses where Krishna does that.
Yes, it's true. And you're asking what is the reason for that?
Yes.
I would only give you a speculative answer. At times, he's making himself close. And at other times, he's making himself a little bit more remote. Our job is to understand that he is near and he's far. That is a Vedic reality. That is a Vedic truth, Upanishadic truth, if you will. God is near, God is far. God is swift, God doesn't move. God moves, but he has no legs. Understand? All these would seem to be apparent opposites. So I think that this is a, Gita Upanishad, because that's what we're looking at, Gita Upanishad. It's a Vedic concept that's consistent throughout. Does everybody understand that okay? God is within, God is without. God is near, God is far. In other words, you won't find a place where there isn't the presence of God. Krishna's everywhere. So when he says in the first person, it gets highly personal. When it says something like the supreme, or words are used like that, even in terms of Brahmajyoti, or Krishna says, I am the light, or I'm the basis of the light. This allows us to appreciate Krishna's deep dimension. Is that all right? I mean, we are allowed to go in the first person, second person, third person sometimes, if you're writing something about yourself. If we can do it, certainly God can do it. All right. Let's go to verse 24. Who would like to volunteer? Markandeya Rishi, would you like?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, of course, yes.
We're just wanting Argentina to feel included. Just get South America. We got the two Americas together.
Okay. An intelligent man who do not know me perfectly think that I, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, was impersonal before and have now assumed this personality. Due to their small knowledge, they don't know my higher nature, which is imperishable and supreme.
Okay, great. So what's being pointed out here is the fallacy that God is found in the demigods, or God can be found into the impersonal Brahman, who later becomes personal. So Krishna's pointing out some of the shortcomings in our spiritual approaches. Again, he says unintelligent people, okay? It's found in the word abuddhayaha. Buddha means intelligent. Abuddhaya means less intelligent. So in the previous verse, he says alpamadasam. Same thing, different wording, means the same thing, less intelligent. Don't go down these paths. That's what Krishna's saying. No, don't try not to bother with them. They're related to us, but you yourself be sharp and try to avoid these pitfalls and stay clearly on the path of bhakti. Krishna is constantly doing that with Arjuna. Okay, so that's what some people say. Some people say about Krishna, oh, Krishna is the personification of the mode of goodness. Or Krishna is a manifestation of Brahman. He was impersonal before. He was this light power, and now he has become a human. No, it's the other way around. So we don't want to be misinformed. Therefore, the emphasis is on do be intelligent, but if somebody is intelligent, what did we say before? Do not disrupt the minds of the ignorant, but encourage them to act in the spirit of devotion. We don't have to be highly critical of people, but what I found is really good when you talk to some people who really believe in Shiva as the Almighty, or Durga or Kartikeya if you're in the south, or this or that. And it's hard sometimes for us to convince people that, okay, well, it's not quite like that. Because they were grown up that way. So therefore, what you do is you try to sell them some books. And then when Prabhupada says it, they can't argue with Prabhupada. And he keeps pounding away at this most pertinent point that God is the personality of Godhead. Any questions there?
Yes, Maharaj, I have a question. So, if we compare the worshippers of demigods against the total atheists or agnostics, as they call them, are they? We can say, are they slightly higher above the atheistic people if they are worshipping demigods?
Higher.
Better.
In some degrees, yes. In some respects, yes. Yeah, because they have captured the mood of the spirit of devotion. This is the key thing. You have to start to love, and you have to start to give. Whereas in the culture of no godly recognition, there is not that sense of giving, of expressing one's bhakti. So in many ways, it is superior. So that's why the books are so important, to set things straight so people understand who's who and what's what.
But if they're still not willing to accept Krishna as the supreme authority, if they still, as you mentioned, if they want to say that Shiva is higher or something, so it's better not to disturb them or agitate their minds, right?
Yes, but let them also have a Bhagavad Gita in their home so that they'll understand. You see, Shiva hasn't come out with a book like this.
Yes.
Necessarily, There may be the Shiva Purana. This somehow or other reigns as the book, the ultimate book on Vedic philosophy. So therefore we emphasize this, and it's very clear. Krishna's here. And after the Gita, when somebody's read it, you must convince them to take a whole set of Bhagavatams home. That's why we emphasize, because in Canto 1, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna is the source of all the avatars. It's very clear. Now, why is that book important? Because Narada Muni blessed Vyasadeva and said, here, now, you must do more than what you have already done. You have divided the Vedas to accommodate the people of the different, ashramas and varnas and ashramas, the different modes of nature. So you've done that sufficiently, but you haven't sufficiently glorified Krishna. There's a bit of lacking in kirtan. Kirtan means to glorify Krishna. So the Bhagavatam is all about Krishna. And like right in the first canto, we're hearing about 25 different avatars of Krishna. Yeah.
Good. Thank you.
Now we are actually talking about here the section that we're going through in the next few verses is that we can say God is tucked away. He's a little bit hidden. He can be found. In fact, if you worship the demigods, you'll find him there somewhere. Okay, so let's go to the next verse, which is clarifying the point that I'm making. This is a really good one to memorize as well. Who would like to, Sankalpa, would you like to read this for us?
Yes, I can read that. 25, no?
Yes.
I'm never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent, but for them I'm covered by my internal potency, and therefore they do not know that I'm unborn and infallible.
Right. So what's important about this verse is that there's a curtain of diluting energy that blocks us away. Krishna and Balaram come on the stage like actors, and they cannot necessarily be always recognized. But the curtain falls. There's a curtain call on the actors or the performers, and then they cannot be seen. So if we are not so sharp or so bright, then we will see Krishna in different dimensions, but you won't see Krishna as he really is. So he covers himself with this internal potency, as it is said here. And therefore, a lot of people don't grasp the concept of Krishna because he allows himself to be covered over by a curtain of diluting energy. It's a good verse to memorize. The word for internal potency is called Yoga Maya. And Muda means you're not so bright. Any questions on that one?
It's
What
like
I'd like-
almost, it's like almost hopeless. Like if Krishna is covered by his internal energy, and one cannot see him, perceive him, can't understand. So then the question comes then, how do they ever get out of that cover?
Yes,
So,
that you because that's
like
the great
internally they're there in that cover, right?
right. Your question is motivated by compassion for the conditioned souls. When will they ever? Well, the way they will come about is different ways. If they are lucky enough to engage in some sort of service, even a small amount of service. Nahang Prakasha Sarvasha. No, what is the verse? Thinking of from chapter 2. Any little bit of any little bit of active service can really open up your eyes. Okay. And also it's the merciful act of the devotees who extend themselves. They go out of their way to help people. For some people, it's taking a little prasadam. For some people, it's hearing one phrase from the Bhagavad Gita. Like any of those different, let's say, gateways can take us to the path. So there is hope. If it is a curtain, you just have to lift it. Curtains are not gates, really, with big locks on them. Curtains are something you just, open up. Oh, wow, that's very nice. The Kumaras were engaged in Sayuja, the approach of seeing Brahman. They were interested in the Brahmajyoti. And so they were sitting in their meditation, and suddenly the smell of the tulsi leaf came to their nostrils. So, that's some of those herbs are amazing, they're powerful. And then they forced them to open up their eyes and say, oh, what do we have here? So they went to where the herbs were, the tulsi, and they saw there's these big, beautiful, gorgeous feet, and they looked in the other direction. Oh, look at them, they come from somewhere. There's these big, long legs. There's a torso, a beautiful head at the end of it. And that was Vishnu. So they got interested in bhakti. It all started off with just a little bit into the nostrils, a little smell. So that ignited their bhakti. That triggered it. So, what are the hopes of people? Well, it's causeless mercy, and that's where devotees come around, they go around. They give
Maharaj.
Krishna to everyone. And
Maharaj.
this way their lives can change.
Maharaj.
Yes. The robot.
Yeah.
Again.
Oh, now you're okay. When you said again, it was very nice.
So I should hang like this. Okay, so what I'll do then, I think let me try something.
I could not listen to the pastimes of the Kumars.
Okay, so the Kumars were in meditation. Can you hear me now? Can everyone hear me okay?
Now, yes, very nice.
Yes.
The story with the Kumars, I'll do it quickly again. They were in meditation. They were like in the lotus position. And they were just, they had their eyes closed or half closed. And then they suddenly, the breeze came their way to their nostrils. And it was the smell of the tulsi leaf because she's very fragrant. And so their eyes opened fully. And then they looked, where's that smell coming from? And then they saw that attached, these lotus leaves were attached to a beautiful object. They were giant feet, the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. And so then they looked further on and said, oh my God, there's this beautiful, a very big blue man lying down, and he is gorgeous. And from that, their bhakti triggered. What ignited was their devotion, right? So at one point, they were overcome by the curtain of deluding energy, the yoga maya, and that was lifted. I would like to bring to your attention the purport here, okay? In verse 25.
Strong.
Okay, down the middle. Here's a verse from the Ishiba Mantra 15. And I'm bringing this to your attention because it addresses the Brahman, the glowing effulgence. Okay? Hiranmayena patrina satyasya vihitan mukam satvam pusham apavarinu satya dharmaya drishtayi. Translation, oh my Lord, you are the maintainer of the entire universe, and devotional service to you is the highest religious principle. Therefore, I pray that you will also maintain me. Your transcendental form is covered by the Yoga Maya. The Brahmajyoti is the covering of the internal potency. May you kindly remove this glowing effulgence that impedes my seeing your Satchid Ananda Vigraha, your eternal form of bliss and knowledge. So this is really a key verse for us to appreciate. Why? Because those people who feel that the Mayavad approach is the one and only way to go in Vedic self-realization, we see here that it's not the truth. One who is sincere on the path of self-realization will say, Brahmajyoti, you're in the way. Can you get out of the way? I want to see the form of the Lord. So it's a higher principle. It's a higher principle to acknowledge the personality of Godhead as opposed to his effulgence. Is everybody okay? It's an important verse. It's a good one. Like, I've been to funerals, and I'll use this verse, and other pundits will use this shloka as well. And they say the goal of life is to really to get to the final destination, and that is to ask to please ask that the curtain, the covering of internal potency is removed so that I can see the real image.
Maharaj, sorry, I'm little bit confused here.
Okay.
Internal potency covering Krishna externally. That is something that I'm not able to understand. My little mind is not able to assimilate that or understand it correctly. Like I was thinking in terms of sun and sunshine. So if Brahma Jyoti can be compared to sunshine, then sun is the Satchitananda Vigraha form of Krishna. So sunshine is external to Krishna. So how is it the internal potency? That is slightly confusing me. I'm not able to understand that bit.
The sunshine is coming from the sun, right? So the sun is more important than the sunshine,
Absolutely.
even though they seem the same. If the sun was not there, you wouldn't have sunshine.
Correct.
Okay, so the idea is that sometimes the sun is too strong, and you hope that a cloud will come in there, so you can see. So the idea is anything that removes the image of Krishna and our ability to communicate and interact with him, we ask for its removal. Or can you, Brahmajyoti, could you please be a little less intense for a bit? No, I really want to see Krishna. I really want to see, everybody know the song? I really want to see you. I really want to be with you. Okay, I see like
My sweet Lord.
I want to see the Lord. Okay, so please try to understand that shloka is very important to us and makes it very clear that it is not the Brahmajyoti that we're after. That is not the Parangatim. It is not the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to see the form of the Lord, to deal with a person. Okay, let's go to 26. This is another really power-packed shloka. It expresses one of the incredible features of Krishna. Who would like to do this one for us?
May I? Sure. Please go.
Somebody
Go ahead.
do it.
Should I? Is someone reading it? Okay. O Arjuna, as the supreme personality of Godhead, I know everything that has happened in the past, all that is happening in the present, and all things that are yet to come. I also know all living entities, but me, no one knows.
Right. So this is one of the shlokas that help us to appreciate Krishna's cognizance, that he is aware of the three phases of time, that which was, that which is now, and that which will come into being. This is like one of the mystical features of the Absolute. Like this also draws a line between the Jiva and the Ishvara. Because right now, we are aware of some things. Like I'm aware of, I'm looking at you, Prabhus. I'm looking at Gaura Chandra with his glasses up above here. I'm seeing Sankalpa leaned up against the wall. And Jai Shri Vrinda, she's holding her baby. And, I'm seeing you. I'm aware of you, but not all of you. I cannot know your feelings. For all I know, Markandeya might have some hunger pangs. He might be hungry, and I can't feel that for him. But yet, Krishna, who's in the heart of all, knows when you have hunger, and when I have hunger. He knows when you're feeling some pain from arthritis or whatever the case may be. But I cannot know that about someone else. Like Ananta Sheesh, who's with us there at the top. He went through a kind of a stroke. We don't feel his pain. I don't feel his pain. He can feel it, but I can't. But when it comes to Krishna, who is in the heart of all living beings, he can feel the pain. He has that sensory power. And he also knows all that was there in the past, what's in the present, and what would be there in the future. We don't know. Do you know where you put the keys to your car? Where are they exactly? Where do you know? Do you know where they are? Well, maybe you know. Okay. What were you doing yesterday at this time? Exactly at this time. What were you doing? Where were you? You know, so we become dumbfounded. That means we're not cognizant. We're not fully aware. And certainly we don't know what's going to happen in the future. We may have some idea. We do know we're going to die. As the saying goes, as sure as death. Actually, they say two things. There are only two things that are for certain in this world: death and taxes. There's only two things: paying your taxes and death. But how much is the debt? We don't necessarily, may not necessarily know. And how we will die. What are the circumstances? We don't know those things. We can generalize. So we're just not that perceptive, not as much as God is. Okay, so again, we have to compare notes. Are you God or are you not God? And if you're able to see all that was there and all that will be there, then okay, great. We will qualify you as God. We will kiss your feet and we will worship you and do puja all the time. Text 27. This is the verse that Prabhupada used to explain why the living entity falls into the material world. Okay, so who would like to read that? We need somebody from a different country now. Did we get anybody from, yeah, I think
Canada in the house.
Canada has. Who's that, Mandala?
Yes, I'm here, Maharaj.
Okay, well, we'll have
So
to.
sorry.
We'll go. Anyways, you sound very enthusiastic. We'll let you go. Go ahead.
O Scion of Bharata, O conqueror of the foe, all living entities are born into delusion, bewildered by dualities, arisen from desire and hate.
Thank you. That was said so well. From the capital region of Canada. All right. So here we go once again. Krishna is giving honor to Arjuna, saying that from your father's side, there was a king. His name was Bharat, and he did everything right, pretty much. He had a little trouble with a deer there, but other than that, he did okay. So because you come from such incredible ancestry, do not, let's say, make a laughing stock of your ancestors. It's just reminding him. And conqueror of the enemy. All living entities are born into delusion. Why? Because of two things. Like, why do we come here to this world? People ask us that, right? So it's there in the first two words, Icha and Dvesha. Actually, if you can't remember these two words, the first one, you should remember, it's like an itch. The desires that we have, are like an itch. So icha, desire, want, ambition. right? And then dvesha, hate. Hate is the opposite of desire or love. These two extremes or extremities, they're called dualities. And that's why we have come here into this world, because of these two principles. I want to be God, you know, and if there is one, I hate God. He's my competitor. So the element of the love and hate factors are what brought us here into this world in the first place. Why we are entangled by the three modes of material nature. So if you want to answer the question, anybody that comes along and says, why are we here in the first place? Why are we struggling and suffering? I feel I should not be here. Why am I here? Why am I in this dark place? And the answer is because we put our desires in the wrong direction. And we were also too, let's say, contemptuous. Contempt. It's desire and contemptuousness that puts us here. Anybody have any question about that? Sometimes devotees talk about jealousy. It's the same kind of thing. Jealous that why is it that Krishna has to have everything? Why can't I have everything?
Yes, Maharaj.
Yes.
So we know from the Bhagavad Gita that we're made of the same spiritual substance as Krishna. And does that mean that we were originally, I guess, we came from the spiritual sky or the spiritual existence, and we came to the material world through, I guess, cultivating that desire and envious nature towards Krishna? Or did we kind of start off in material nature and then cultivate that more? I don't know if
That
that's...
is a question of debate amongst some Vaishnavas. And the main thing is that Prabhupada has to say this. You could look at it from different angles. Prabhupada always referred to the term back to Godhead. So that means back. What I was there before. Yeah, you got to go back. Don't stay here. And the fact that, as you say, I'm just speaking a bit logically, that if we are made up of the spiritual substance of the Lord, then it seems to me we should be, and yet we're in this, let's say, inferior energy. It seems to me we should be in our right habitat. The Bhagavatam talks about a fish out of water. So we are like fish, and everybody's seen what a fish is like when he's out of the water. He flops around everywhere. It's totally uncomfortable, totally. And so that's what we are, not in our natural place. So it is to be assumed that we came from a spiritual domain. Some Vaishnavas might say the Brahmajyoti or the spiritual sky or Krishna Loka, somewhere spiritual, because that's what we are from. Like if we give the example of the sunshine exists because sun particles, molecules exist because of the sun. So in the same way, we exist. Our spiritual identity is there because of the presence of the supreme absolute spirituality, the spiritual whole. Om Puranam Adab Puranam Idam Puranat Puranam Udachate Puranasyam Puranam Adaya Puranam Eva Vashishate. The invocational verse from the Ishiba Mantra states that there's one complete whole. From it comes other little complete entities, and they retain the same kind of quality as the one complete original whole. So, we come from the spiritual world. Everything comes from spirit. That's the point that Prabhupada makes, right? So much. stressing this, that even matter comes from spirit. So if we think that we're material objects, then still we come from spirit, because that's the active principle. And if you remove the spiritual component, then you're left with dull matter. So you, Mandala, you're asking the question because you have superior energy in you. You have the presence of the soul. You're not just dull matter. If you were just a lump of flesh, you wouldn't be able to ask the question. So ultimately, everything comes from spirit, from Krishna. Sarvashacham Ridi Sanivishta Matasmritir Jnanam Apohanam Chat, from chapter 10 of Bhagavad Gita. The Lord is saying there very clearly that everything emanates from me. All that is matter and all that is spirit. The wise who know this engage in my service and worship me with all their hearts. I'm the source of all the spiritual material worlds. So we're coming from a spiritual source. I think that's what we need to be convinced of, and that's all we need to tell people. So it's always good to be equipped with some verses.
Uh,
Any other thoughts, Bruce?
yes, Guru Maharaj.
Yes.
I could not understand, and I could not listen to Mandala Ram question, but I'm having a question regarding this this verse, and is that if we were pure souls in the spiritual world at that time, why did we have desire and hate at that time if we were pure?
We are pure, but we are also adventurous. We are curious, right? Because we take that from Krishna. And we forget that we are not Krishna. So if we try to chew more than we can swallow, just like you see a squirrel, he'll eat a nut and it says, I have to get another nut. And he puts it and he can't even swallow the first nut. So we take more than we can chew. So you can call this wanderlust. Wanderlust. It means that we're happy in the spiritual realm in Krishna's abode, but we are curious. And when, Krishna can be curious and he can touch the material energy and it won't bother him. But as soon as we touch the material energy, we get bewildered. Oh, this looks like so different, so much fun. It looks like maybe I could be God here. Looks like I could play God. I got the chance. I can control these people or these creatures, and in the end you die and you find out, I guess I'm not God. So it's wanderlust. It is. We have this tendency. Desire is a component of the soul, right? Desire is. Let's say. How else can I put it? It's a symptom of the soul, right? Desire is a symptom of the soul. And also, hate is a symptom of the soul. That is, you hate anything that is not connected to Krishna. So if you get a little tempted, or you dwell on this idea, maybe I can go to this other world, which after all is part of Krishna's world. Let me try this place called Prakriti. Let me check it out. Let me check it out, man. And then we check it out, and as soon as we get in there, we get burned. We get, And because we are fools, what do they say? saying fools rush in where angels dare to tread. You know? So an angel is careful. I'm not going to go into such and such a place. It's not for me. But if you're a fool and you're not an angel, say, I'm going to be bold. I'm going to be macho. I'm going to be brave. I'll show that I can do something and I can maybe even be God for a little while. So it's because we have desire that we check things out. And that's why we come to this world. And because we persist in this, we persist. One of the nicest dramas we've ever done is called Big Fish, Little Fish. And it's a story based on the Bhagavatam. So the big fish is leading all the little fishes. And then one little fish at the back, he says, I don't know why, he's like very unhappy. And two of his friends come around and said, little fish, what's wrong with you? He said, well, I'm just a little bit cranky today. He says, why? It's because we always have to follow the big fish. You know, when he goes up, we have to swim up. When he goes down, why do we always have to follow him? I think I would like to be the big fish for a while. So why don't you talk to the big fish? Big fish says, are you sure you want to do this? And the little fish says, no, I really want to do this. I'm committed. I really would like to be the big fish for a while. Big fish says, it's not natural for you. There's only one big fish. He says, but I really want to try it out. I really want, are you sure? So he insists. Says, well, all right, says Big Fish. If you want, I'll bring you to a place where I'll make you think like you're the big fish. Said, you can do that for me? You know, is that true? You can help me with that? And so then Big Fish, yes, regrettably so. I will let you know. So, well, what do I have to do? Said, just swim up and up and up. There's something that's called a wave. And it'll take you to something called a beach. And there, that's it. And then the fish gets out of water and then he is around. Nice plot to the story, isn't it? Okay. Is that okay, Markandeya?
Yes, thank you so much for the
Can I ask,
explaining.
Real quick. Yes, go ahead.
can I ask a follow-up question on that?
Yes.
So Krishna has given us a free will for us to be curious and have the desire. So wouldn't that be better for us to not to have this free will so that we won't have the curiosity and desire to stray away from him?
Yes, but then you don't have, when it comes to real love, it cannot be forced. It can't be forced. So through free will, love can be manifest. And when when you're under pressure, you cannot talk about love anymore. So we will love God, we will love Krishna by our own choice, by our free will, exercising our free will.
Okay. Thank you.
Is that okay?
That's good. Thank you.
So just
We have
as,
choices. Yes, go ahead.
just as independence is spontaneous. So that's the focus, independence.
Mhm.
Krishna doesn't take that away from us. As spontaneously, we can desire to be the controller or to be controlled.
Thank you very much. Let's take the example of the fish again. The fish has a lot of freedom. You know, if you just put him in a little fish bowl, like a tiny little thing, he's just not going to be very happy. But by the will of the Creator, the fish has ample water in which to swim. And he's got this sense of freedom. you know, and he also learns a little bit about, he has to be a little bit of an angel and be careful about the barracudas or the, you know, or the sharks. That we call instinct. You know? So the freedom is something that we can enjoy, and it's something you also have to earn. Real freedom, real love will come when we exercise real freedom. A lot of people have to work hard for their freedom. Most people do, and I think that's part of it. It's a way of demonstrating love. Love is just something you really have to work hard at, even in a physical way, you know. Like every man, every woman, they want to find Mr. Right or Mrs. Right. I have to work so hard. Hence the application of you wearing bright clothes and the makeup and all that, or the guy works really hard. He works his butt off to get the Ferrari so he can attract the Mataji, you know. And then you have to really work on your manners. You know, they have to put on lots of smelly colognes, you know, to attract it. So much hard work is there, my God. So it's a big endeavor. And in one sense, bhakti, although we say it's easy, you really have to work at it. So we're getting to almost like 1 minute away from our finish time. Are we doing good? Look,
Question.
yes.
What is the difference between Icha and Kama? Is there any difference?
Well, kama we usually use in a general term to express material desire, right? And so in this regard, because we're talking about a feature of the dualities of this world, I don't see any difference here. Bewildered by dualities from desire and hate. But desire is, again, a symptom of our pureness. But when it comes in contact with matter, then it is kama. Is that okay?
Yeah, thank you.
We want to thank everybody for being on board. I hope that we're coasting along okay. It looks like we have 3 verses for next week to cover.
Yes.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Are some of you having a chance to memorize some shlokas, perhaps? So if you do, it'd be very nice. We'll give you the stage. We'll give you the floor next week, and you can show off.
What verse would you like us to do, Maharaj?
Well, some of the ones that we went over, like I would say, Ichadvesha Samutina. I would go for that one. That's 27. I leave it to you. The one prior is also good, about Krishna's cognizance, his knowing past, present, and future. 25 is also a good one. Why is it we can't see God? Why? Because he's tucked away. He's hidden. He has this yoga maya, the internal energy that covers him. So any one of those 3 would be super dandy. Okay? Okay, so au revoir. Arrivederci. Salut.
Ciao.
What else?
Ciao.
Ciao. Spanish. What?
Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes.
Auf Wiedersehen. In
Auf
German,
Wiedersehen.
auf Wiedersehen.
Oh, what do you say in German?
Auf Wiedersehen.
Okay.
Auf
Oh.
Wiedersehen. We see each other again. That's what it
Okay. All right.
In Odia
In
puri
Dutch?
dekha habo.
What do you say in Orissa?
Puni dekha hobo.
Okay, I'll
Krishna.
bring it up. Sartak, what are you going to say?
Namaste.
Namaste. Okay, I'll say it in Dutch. Tot ziens.
Tulsin.
Prachtig.
Tot ziens. All right. Thank you very much. Haribol.
Thank you so much.
See you next week.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna devotees, thank you for everything. Have a nice afternoon.
Good question.
Again,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Vaishnavi, Gaura Chandra, Sartak,
Very good.
Ram, Arjuna. Thank you.